everyone, and welcome back to the Three Stitches podcast. A very delayed recording of the Three Stitches podcast for today. It is Monday, March 11th. It is not Sunday like I normally record. It's been another hectic week. What can I say? This is grad school, and work just gets piled on, and then there's meetings and such, and yeah. Um, so not a lot of knitting done this week as a result. More knitting than the week previously, but not as much as I would have liked. So there are currently only two projects sitting on the bed next to me. Well, one has a lot of progress done on it. The number of projects is sadly not as much as I would really like it to be. Um, so sort of okay, let's go back a little bit. What did I do this week? Well, we have what's called senior overnights on we had one on Tuesday and two Wednesday. What basically happens is it's a chance for high school seniors to stay overnight in the dorms. It's sort of get a feel for what dorm life is like. Um, why they let RAs have senior overnights, I don't really know because you're not really getting the full dorm experience. Because A, I have a double room to myself. B, I have a bigger room. I have a whole hallway attached out there, outside of my room before the actual dorm hallway. Um, I have a bathroom. So you're not really getting the full dorm experience. But hey, they pay you $20, so I'm not gonna shoot the foot that or shoot the hand that feeds me whatever. Bite the hand that feeds, shoot the hand that feeds me. Apparently, I'm a very violent person today. Um, wow. Shoot the hand that feeds me, or I was combining shoot myself in the foot and bite the hand that feeds me into one statement. That's what I was doing. That's what this gray matter up here that's chock full of all their knowledge is doing. So I had one senior, and so she stayed overnight. And then we went to an event. Um, and we had who came? Comedy Sports. That's what, and it's an event. They're a group local to Buffalo called Comedy Sports. Oddly enough, the event that they put on is called Comedy Sports, and they're called Comedy Sports. What a coincidence! But it's basically Whose Line Is It Anyway? That sort of improvisation show, um, but in a sports theme. So the points do matter, as they pointed out to us, and they're dressed in sports jerseys, and there is a referee. So yeah, we went to that, um, and I was actually quite impressed. She was I've had several senior overnights in the past years that I've done this. I've done this every year I've been here, and probably hosted between about 6 and 10 students, depending, because sometimes they do three a semester. Um, but this was the first senior overnight I've had that she asked quite a bit of questions. Normally it's like kind of gets awkward because you're sitting there and you're like, all right, so I picked you up at 5 o'clock, but the event's not till 8:30. Hmm. All right. Any questions about the school? What do you want to know? And they're like, I don't really know. I just kind of came, but so I really don't have any questions for you. And then you sit there like, okay, this is awkward. 3.5 hours of this. Boss, yes, just what I wanted to plan for the night. But she asked quite a few questions, and they were I mean, no question is stupid, but they were well thought out, informed questions. So it was good. What else? Oh, apparently I have the staff well trained in regards to knitting. Because one of the events that the comedy sports performers put on was they had to there were certain events and activities that they had to act out, but they took two people from each team and put them out and led them out of the room. And while they were gone, they asked the audience to like replace certain things in the activities. So, for example, I think one of them was softball, and so um, uh, instead of a bat, the audience suggested that it was a stick of bologna, and instead of bases, they were chickens. And so, without talking or without actual words, I mean, they could use gibberish and hand motions. Their teammates had to describe and act out to their teammate who was gone what activity and what was replaced and what was missing, so to speak. Um, and so one of the activities was crocheting, and this was a weird one. Even the ref was like, when the suggestion was made, he was just like, "What?" He asked an audience member. He was like, "Okay, so instead of yarn, what are you using?" And one of the audience members was like, "The hair of your enemies." The whole audience, the ref was just like, okay, sure, yeah. And instead of a sweater, what are you making? And then it got silly again. They were like, meatballs. So you're making meatballs, and um, but so they're acting it out on stage, and I I cringed because both sides. As soon as they started acting it out, they were like, they mind pulling out two needles and handing it. And was like, no, that's knitting, that's knitting, that's knitting. No, it's not crocheting, that's knitting. No, and I meet up with. I was with my senior overnight, so I wasn't with my friends at the event. But apparently, they were seated at a table, and as soon as they pulled out the needles, the whole staff that was there that night was like, "No, that's knitting. That's not crocheting. Have them trained. They know now. I have informed them the difference between knitting and crocheting. I have accomplished something." Because I mean, we all know that that's one of the common errors, especially as a crocheter. People are like, "Oh, you're knitting." No, I'm crocheting. I mean, it's usually that. People usually know knitting. People, because that's when you're using yarn, people automatically assume knitting. Except the security guard last night when I was on duty, I was working on my sweater. And he was like, "Are you crocheting?" I'm like, "No, I'm knitting." But I've never heard that reversal before. It's usually I'm crocheting. People think I'm knitting, but okay. So I had the staff trained. Good. What else? I feel like more happened this week, and I'm leaving it out. No, 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 no. I guess it can't be that important if I don't remember. Mm. Oh, honors convocation actually was important, and I was drawing a blank on it. Okay, honors convocation. Um, Basically uh, award ceremony, I guess you would call it, where they give out scholarships and the different awards from the school, and it's around this time every year. But they ask a student to give the invocation, and they asked me. I was like, okay, why? This is me we're talking about. But so I had to get up in front of about 200 people. Yeah, guess sure. 200, maybe that's a good estimate. Yeah. And give the invocation. I was like, okay. I wasn't nervous before. Usually I'm nervous, like weeks in advance before something like this happens. Every time I think about it, I'll get nervous. And I was like, you know what? I gave the speech at the hooding ceremony at graduation. I've done so many of these over my, not so many, and it sounded like grander than it is, but I've done this before, so I'm not really nervous. I was nervous about an hour before, but that's, I, compared to what normally, my normal reaction, that's like, wow, maybe I'm getting used to this whole public speaking kind of thing. But um, and it wasn't. It's like I'm just reading a prayer that's maybe 20 lines, so it lasted a whole of 2 minutes. But um, I wasn't worried about it, and until I got there, or before I left, and we had to wear cap and gowns, and like they do for graduation, and so I went to the bookstore to pick mine up. And I had it hanging to lay it out to let the wrinkles fall out. I ironed it on the day of the convocation to make sure I looked presentable. And I was like, and I put it on. I'm like, oh, okay, yep, yep, it looks nice. And then I pick up the hat, I put it on. I'm like, holy cow, is this for a giant? I could fit 2 fingers in the hat with room to move it around. That's how large this thing was. I'm like, oh, bugger, what am I gonna do? So I walked to the convocation. I'm like, okay, you know what? They probably have extra hats. They probably have. I can find someone to help me. Maybe it's supposed to be this large because it didn't have the elastic at the back. Um, so it was just basically a sleeve that was too big for my head with a rectangle on top. I was like, well, maybe they have someone to help me because maybe this is a different hat, the type of graduation cap. I don't know how to wear it. Um, and uh, the president of SA comes around. She and I were roommates for a month and a half, my first semester of college. So we sort of know each other. We've gotten to know each other. She's really nice. And she has the same problem. Like, how did does your cap not stay on either? And she's like, no, it doesn't. Every time I move it, like it's gonna fall off my head. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I was just trying to get it on. I didn't think about moving my head and it falling off. How the heck am I gonna read this speech? What? It was. If you put it on and I look down to look at the speech, it'd be like. So I was freaking out. We're both freaking out. We're going, what? How are we going to do that? She's like, at least you only have to read, well, a little bit at the beginning. I have to read through the entire thing. Um, and so, I bobby pin it in, and it's still, even with the bobby pins, I practice, I'm just like, whoop, oh boy. Okay. Fucker, how am I gonna do this? Every time I move my head, like it'll stay on, but you can see the whole thing just shifting on my head. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just keep my head up like this through the entire ceremony. And when I go to read, I'm just like, read underneath my glasses. I looked like a complete dork. And so I go up and I read, and it goes well. I'm like, uh, no, my hat doesn't fall off, and I read the whole speech. And I go back in to sit down. I'm like, and it slides all the way down. Like, oh crud, I'll just take it off. I'm just gonna take it off for the whole thing. So for the rest of the time, I have bobby pins stuck in my hair, but the hat's on my lap. And then so I was just like, oh boy, at least it didn't fall off. I can kind of sort of pretend that it was meant to happen. That I took my hat off as part of the ceremony, and then I look over and Dr. Murphy, the vice president for academic affairs, doesn't have his hat on. So I'm like, okay, I feel good. And then I look over again, and about halfway through the ceremony, Kirsten had the same problem, and she took her off. Well, I'm like, I'm not the only one. That's good. At least I'm not the only one. Oh man. It was just, oh boy. All right, on to knitting. So that was my adventure for the week. I had to give a speech while trying to balance a hat on my head, but it went well. I got compliments on my speaking, so overall it went well, and nobody seemed to notice that I had a giant hat that I was trying to balance on my head. No, I did. I will say this, that when a friend of mine came up afterwards and she was like, "Were you nervous?" I'm like, kind of like I was at that point I was more worried about trying to keep the stupid hat on my head. So I was like, no, I'm okay. I mean, I'm a little nervous. Um, and then she was like, you could tell you were nervous. I was like, how? And she was like, your posture was really rigid. I'm like, I was trying to keep the stupid hat on my head. That wasn't nerves. I was trying to keep my head still. All right, before this goes too long. So yeah, these are my lives. These are my adventures in college. Trying to. It reminded me of those old etiquette courses where it's like you balance a stack of books on your head. And you're like, ah. But it was just a piece of cardboard. Well, a little fancier than that. It was a graduation cap, but essentially it was a piece of cardboard. Okay, Hitchhiker. This is one of two projects that you'll get to see today. Hey, maybe I can get you guys out in under 20 minutes. Let's try. I have 5 minutes left. Okay. So Hitchhiker. I am halfway through the required amount of points that I need to have to finish. So here we go. Hey, isn't it so pretty? I love this. It's so bright and vibrant. I'm so happy with it. So yeah, it's just The Hitchhiker by Martina Vem. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Um, and oh, I don't have the ball band with me. I mentioned it last podcast. Go take a look. I actually think I might have thrown the ball band away. I cleaned my room over the weekend. What do you expect? And cleaning the room it's like, all right, trash, 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 trash. Any like paper lying around. That's cleaning. But okay. So I did not mention last week that these are on size fours. So size fours, the same size fours I did my sweater on. So, there we go. Yay! So pretty. I can't wait till it's done to wear it. Can't wait. But the the project that I got the project that I got the most project done on. That's what I was gonna say. The project that I got the most progress done on is my sweater. I didn't get any progress on my even star. I'm sorry, guys. I really am. I feel so guilty about not working on it. It's just this was my project for the week. I really liked working on it this week. And with any luck, this might be my finished object next week. So because his monstrosity of a I knew I should have recorded before I started the hood. Knew it. Because then it was sort of manageable. I didn't have this string attached to it attached to a ball of yarn. Okay, so this is my Granville. Isn't it lovely? I love it. So, okay, here we go. Oh, so, front. Oh, just a simple cable down the front. And then the same on the other. But now you guys can see the back real well, because now it's all sewn together. So there we go. Now I can't even see what I'm showing. There we go. So now you can see it real well. And then the hood extends off. And so what I'm basically what the pattern says to do now is oh wait, and then the sleeves. I'm gonna take photos of this and post them when it's done. So if you're not getting a good glimpse at it right now, don't worry, because it is just too big to show you guys. Too big. But there we go. So these are the cables on sleeves. So nice. And so basically what I'm doing is, so there's the top of the sleeve, and the side of the cardigan. And so I picked up stitches along here, and I'm basically going to continue this cable up for 8 inches, and then do some decreases, some shaping, and then sew it onto the side of the hood, of this part of the hood, to make the one side of the hood, and then do the same thing on this side, and sew it along here, and I will have a hood. And then I have to buy a zipper, and then I will be all done. All done. So, with any luck, you guys might have a finished object next week. How fancy would that be? How nice would that be? I haven't had a finished object in goodness how long. I don't know when it was the last time I had a finished object. Last time it was like small, like a small finished object, like a scarf or a shawl or something. I don't remember. The last big project I finished was my orange sweater. Okay. I'm just like blanking out here going, okay. Okay, I think that's everything. And I can get you out under 20 minutes. Well, with the intro, it might be more than 20 minutes now. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I am Katie Jo, 36 on Plurk. Tireless Traveler 42 on Ravelry. We are on iTunes. We are also on Ravelry as a group, 3 Stitches podcast group. We have a blog. Oh, I was gonna mention this, but I was gonna mention this again when I pulled out this project. My brain is just completely and utterly not there anymore whatsoever. So, and any thoughts and any sort of organization, right out the window. That's the first. Those are the first things to go. Cognitive thoughts and organization. So this my hitchhiker is for the autism awareness. Uh, um, I can't think of words right now. Um, the autism awareness knit along, crochet along, being run by the Pen Hook and Needles podcast. So go over to their group on Ravelry. They have all the guidelines and all the rules spelled out really nicely. If you, I don't know if Mom has closed the thread yet. If to win the $5 puzzle piece pattern for the Afghan. But if she hasn't, quick, go on over there so you can enter. All you have to do is write a little thing. Doesn't even be about anything specific, and you will be entered into to win uh, that pattern. One of the other reasons I wanted to get a lot of progress done on this sweater is because I wanted to get a judge on how much yarn I was actually going to use, because this pink is one of the only worsted weights I have in my bin right now, so I wanted to get started on some puzzle pieces because I was going to do the puzzle pieces in the leftovers of the Granville sweater yarn. Um, and um, so it's actually kind of funny because um, starting this week in my severe disabilities class, we're going to be covering autism. So kind of a coincidence, kind of neat. So I'll be learning all about the long crochet along that I'm sponsoring. We're sponsoring, I should say. Okay, I think that's all. Um, oh, um, so just a brief overview of the guidelines. You have to make a project, and it has to be brightly colored, and it has to be at least three brightly colored, bright, at least three brightly colored. No, at least three bright colors. If I can talk. Wait, man, I'm really happy when grad school is over because then I might be able to get a whole podcast out fluently and not sound like a complete and utter babbling idiot. That'd be nice. My brain is just so chock full of information right now that, um, yeah. So, what? It's March. 2 more months to go, guys. 2 more months, and we'll be good. Then I'll sound like a sane person again. It can't come soon enough. All right. So a brightly colored project using at least three bright colors. If it's one bright color, if I could get a handle on the English language and the aspect of singular and plural and how to use it in a sentence, that'd be great. I am an English minor. You wouldn't know it. So if it has one bright color, it has to sort of be like a part of a whole project that uses two other bright colors. So yeah, okay. Now I really should let you go. So maybe I could talk properly again. That'd be nice. Um, and I promise next week will be better. I don't. I could blame it on sleep deprivation, but I'm not really sleep deprived. I think I'll just blame it all on my brain being chock full of information. And that might not change in a week. Yeah, you guys have to wait 2 months for that. Okay, I'm repeating now. I'm rambling. With that, I will say goodbye and wish you a week of happy knitting, and I will see you again, hopefully this time on Sunday. And Mom and Lindsay will join you as co-hosts sometime this week around the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday area, since they're co-hosting together. So I will leave you with that. Bye!